Greetings, dear listeners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where and when you are listening. But one thing is very certain. We are happy to have you here. My name is Mahira, your anchor for today's topic, historical heritage, stories that stand the test of time. Seems like a fun one. Without further ado, sit back and relax, dear listeners. Let's take a trip down history lane. Long before screens lit our rooms and clocks ruled our days, stories were the way people remembered who they were. They traveled without wheels, crossed generations without ink, and survived not because they were written down, but because they mattered. Historical heritage is not only built from stone monuments or preserved artifacts, but also in everyday traditions. A song sung for centuries, a recipe prepared the same way by countless hands, or a celebration that brings people together year after year. It lives in stories, tales told, retold, and reshaped by time. These stories endure because they speak to something universal. Courage in uncertainty, wisdom gained through mistakes, and hope carried forward even when the future is unclear. Consider the ancient legends of explorers who ventured far beyond the edge of the known world. Whether crossing vast seas or uncharted lands, these stories were never just about distance, they were about curiosity, the willingness to step forward without guarantees. Even today, when maps are filled and borders are drawn, the same spirit lives on in innovation, discovery, and the simple act of asking, what lies beyond what I know? Another timeless theme found in historical storytelling is justice. Old court tales, village legends, and royal chronicles often center on moments when fairness is tested. A wise ruler listening before judging. A clever thinker solving a dispute with reason rather than force. These stories remind us that fairness is not automatic. It must be chosen, protected, and practiced. Though centuries pass, these lessons remain as relevant as ever. Historical heritage also preserves stories of resilience. Cities rebuilt after destruction, libraries restored after loss, knowledge protected through careful copying and quiet dedication. These accounts are rarely loud or dramatic, yet they endure because they show strength not as power, but as persistence. They remind us that survival is not only about standing firm, but about adapting and continuing forward. Some stories also teach patience. Folktales from long ago often describe builders who take years to complete a bridge, artists who spend time perfecting a craft, or gardeners who plant trees knowing they will never sit in their shade. These narratives push back against the rush of the modern world, reminding us that what lasts is often what takes time. Even myths and fables, stories we know were never meant to be literal, hold lasting power. A clever animal outwitting a stronger one, a traveler learning humility through failure. These stories were shaped to entertain, but they survived because they taught without lecturing. They invite listeners to reflect rather than telling them what to think. What makes these stories timeless is not the era they come from, but the questions they ask. What does it mean to do the right thing? How do we face the unknown? What should we protect for those who come after us? Every generation hears these questions anew and finds its own answers while still echoing voices from the past. In a world that moves faster each year, historical stories offer something rare: perspective. They remind us that people before us faced challenges they could not fully understand, yet still found ways to build, to create, and imagine a future. Their success was not perfection, but continuity, the passing of knowledge, values, and curiosity from one moment in time to the next. Stories that stand the test of time do not survive by accident. They survive because we chose to remember, to retell, and to listen. In doing so, we become part of the heritage ourselves, not just inheritors of the past, but storytellers for the future. And one day, long from now, the stories we choose to tell may be the ones that stand the test of time. Well, that shows something. I think we can all agree that anybody can take a little lesson from that. That wraps up today's topic. Hope you had a good time. I know I did. The name's Mahira, and thank you for your kind attention. And remember, stay curious. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.